Hello, and welcome back to We're Not So Different, a podcast about how we've always been idiots. My name is Luke Waters, and I'm an amateurish historian. And as always, I'm joined by Dr. Eleanor Yannicka, who is anything but. Today, we are continuing our series on weird medieval stuff, and we've got a weird medieval interview this time. But real quick before we get there, a couple of notes. No question today, since we have an interview. We will get back to it next time. And then a programming note, due to travel and time constraints, we won't have a new episode next week. Instead, we're going to unlock a bonus episode from Patreon and post it on the main feed. And if you like it, maybe you'll consider subscribing to the Patreon, patreon.com/WNSDpod. It's cool. You guys know the deal. Yeah. And lastly, we have a correction. Last week, I said that Galilei was burned at the stake by the church for heresy and for being a huge dick. And in my zeal to continue doing a bit and talk about space, I suborned poor, sick Eleanor into somewhat agreeing with me. So let me state for the record, Galileo was not burned at the stake. He was condemned as a heretic by the church in 1633. Told to stop publishing about heliocentrism and sentenced to prison, but this was commuted and he was allowed to live out the rest of his life on house arrest, dying in 1642. He was still right about most of his stuff, and he was still a huge dick to everyone, so those parts will go uncorrected. For whatever reason, I get the deaths of Galileo and Giordano Bruno, who was burned on the pyre in 1600, confused. Mea culpa, maxima culpa, yada yada, etc. Anyway, on to the main show. So, listeners of the We're Not So Different podcast know that there's pretty much nothing new under the sun. It is kind of the theme of the show, after all. Most of the core traits we humans share have been around for a very, very long time, and what changes are material circumstances and technology. Many of these shared traits are perfectly normal, like the all-too-human desire for a sense of community, or how we all turn various forms of grain into bread and then eat it. However, other shared traits are a bit more, let's just say, weird. Like how guys really like to get together in groups and dig seemingly pointless holes, or how all humans really love to dream up weird little freaks, tell stories about them, and then draw them. Regardless of how they are portrayed, coming up with weird little guys is something humans and even our Neanderthal forebears have been doing for millennia, and something we've carried with us as technology has progressed. Visual depictions of little guys, which first occupied the cave walls or monoliths, became much more widespread when humans began producing handheld written documents. Document was portable and could travel, but more importantly for our weird freaks, it gave us all this glorious blank space outside the boundaries of the text at the edge of the document, aka margins, in which to doodle. And doodle we did on clay tablets and papyrus and animal skins and eventually parchment and wood block and even the earliest printed pages. All of which brings us to the Middle Ages, when the steady proliferation of literacy and written documentation across Afro-Eurasia led to a veritable golden age of both classic and brand new weird little guys just chilling out in the marginalia. These illuminated manuscripts would become beloved for their gorgeous detail, often inscrutable meaning and or design, and their general weirdness. And since we couldn't do a series on weird medieval shit without talking about our favorite weird medieval guys, we've done the only sensible thing and brought in Olivia Swarthout to talk about it with us. By way of introduction, Olivia is the proprietress of the wildly successful Weird Medieval Twitter account, which shows off all sorts of weird medieval guys from marginalia, and is the author of the 2023 book, Weird Medieval Guys, How to Live, Laugh, Love, and Die in Dark Times. Olivia, how the hell are you?
I'm doing wonderfully. I admit I've been transfixed by the cat in your background while you've been saying this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's Rugby. I didn't know you could see him.
It's one of Luke's
He's
familiars.
Yes, he's just hanging out back there. He is a sweetheart. He currently is wearing a shirt thing that he hates because he has some spots he's trying to lick, and so we have to keep him doing that. Unfortunately for us, Mr. Rugby is very smart, and he figures out how to do it, usually with the help of his brother, Biscuit, who is, by all accounts, he's not the brightest bulb in the bunch, but he loves life. He loves life in a way that those of us burdened by consciousness and anxiety can't really fathom. He's there, and that's Mr. Rugby, and he is doing good. Well, I'm glad you saw him. We've got another one. I don't know if Biscuit's
Yeah, where
in here
is
or not.
Biscuit? Yeah. I see Rugby more often than I see Biscuit, but I think that Rugby just wants to be like involved in the podcast. And this is different to my cat Cabbage hates the podcast. And she is anti-podcasting action. When I begin to podcast, she begins to cause trouble or leaves the room in disgust because she doesn't like me talking to people other than her. So, yeah.
Yeah, normally, like, if they would just be normal around each other, I would let them both stay in here, but while I podcast or whatever, or they'd be in my wife's office while she's working, but they can't, and they just end up playing with each other because they're kittens, and that's what they do, and they're just like all of a sudden start wrestling, and like while that's great, it's not condusive.
It doesn't translate well to an audio
to
format.
Podcasting.
No.
Yeah, I guess I could, comment on it, like a sportscaster, like, oh, he's got the upper hand now,
Oh, so we could have a YouTube channel.
Biscuit going in with the
man.
folding chair.
Oh, God,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, he would if he could.
Make him a little ring.
Have you ever seen that Tumblr post, and it's a picture of a cat, like with its like back kind of arched a little, and the caption says, he's pissed we won't let him go into the garage to eat sawdust and poison. That is Biscuit in a nutshell. He goes out there and he'll like run and hide, and I'm like, all right, fine, like I cannot ferret you out of like under there's the garage needs to be cleaned out somewhat, and I can't ferret you out from under all the junk in there, so you're just gonna stay out here for a minute, and I'll close the door, and then like 10 seconds later he comes back, he's like, meow. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. Come
Look,
on.
dudes rock. Okay.
He does, yeah. Olivia, thank you for coming on the show again. So you are internet famous, I guess probably actually famous now for these weird guys. So, like, how did you get into this? Were you a medievalist by trade or profession or interest, or were you just like, hey, I saw a picture of a guy of a bunch of people fighting a snail for some reason, and that's cool?
Much more the latter than the former, I would say. I'm not a medievalist by trade. I'm actually a statistician by trade. So
Yes. Come on, real job.
kind of diametrically opposed, I guess some people might say, to being a medieval historian. But
it's the fabled meeting of STEM versus liberal arts, the battle of the century, or whatever.
exactly.
This is proof that you can mix the two and be perfectly fine.
That's right.
Because here you are talking about these weird medieval guys, and you have a background in number crunching.
You know what? The STEM goblin yearns in their heart for medieval marginalia. This is just true.
That's true.
This is true. Yeah.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, I think when I was doing my degree at the University of Glasgow, I did statistics, and I did a bit of computer science as well, and I would sit in my classes and kind of look around myself at all of the people around me who were overwhelmingly male, and think, all of these people, they just absolutely live and breathe STEM and maths and computer science, and that was something that I never quite connected to. I did really enjoy the degree. I enjoyed everything. Don't regret it at all, but I wasn't one of the people walking in at 9 a.m. every morning like, wow, I'm so unbelievably excited to learn how to program in Java. So I think medieval art kind of brought together a lot of my other interests. Interest in the natural world and in art and art history. And just in like untold stories. I think the Middle Ages are so full of things that are underloved and underappreciated, and I became interested in them and and started posting about them online, and then it, gained way, way, way more attention than I ever kind of imagined. And then at that point, it was a bit, well, this is my life now, and I feel like I should, I should, now all of these people, I mean, I've never claimed to be a medievalist, but I get so many comments saying, well, as a fellow medieval scholar, I really like this post, and I try to correct people, but I definitely had this sense early on of, well, I have people's attention and people are, quite interested in this, so maybe there's a way I can feed in some of my knowledge about it to make it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You're a medieval viber, not a medieval scholar. I respect that. I respect it,
As someone who's not is not a trained medievalist at all or a trained historian, it is always funny, like when you show like an interest in, or just even like the smallest bit of knowledge about like the medieval times. People are like, oh, as a fellow medievalist, and I'm like, yeah, no, no, thank you. I appreciate it, but no.
I just think that the way, especially when we're talking about marginalia and all the little guys, to a certain extent, just wanting to get involved and, kind of doing the most basic due diligence. It's like, all right, yeah, great. Well, that's a contribution, right? We got to get them out into the world. And it can't always just be like scholarly articles, can it? And I mean, like you see, if you look at the British Library, Twitter account, for example, they tweet their weird guys. They're always like, they're always trying to do it. So, I think that there is something universal in our desire to see the little guy. We all want to see the little guy,
I think, yeah, definitely. So, Olivia, like when you think back on it, is there like an original, like an weird medieval guy that that is for whatever reason carved a deep crease into your brain, and like that's the one that set it in motion? Or is it you just like kept seeing them and you were like, hey, that's neat, hey, that, like what, how does it come about in your mind, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the first one I ever posted on my account was from a British Library manuscript. Actually, it was from a copy of The Romance of the Rose, and it was a depiction of nature in her forging living thing.
Yeah, cool.
And it's this great image because it's a combination of this fascinating story, because The Romance of the Rose has a very interesting history, as well as a really beautiful, interesting motif of nature as kind of a blacksmith and a woman, but having an active part in creation, but also just a goofy image because it's a woman with a baby on an anvil who's hitting it with a hammer, and that completely adds another dimension to it.
Yeah,
I love that one.
It's great. She's got the baby, and there's like a pile of like, I think what are discarded babies in the corner.
Yes, yeah.
It's very visceral. And I posted it with a caption that was something like, I mean, I kind of made my captions less jibey when more people started following me, but I posted it with a caption that was something like, oh, this would be me if I had a baby. And there was a wide range of reactions to that, let me tell you.
You know what? A relatable queen. They hate to see the girls thriving.
Oh, man.
Yeah. What can I say?
That's awesome. Yeah, I got a picture here of it that I've saved. So we can post these, because as we all know, podcasts are the ultimate visual medium.
That's right. What's really funny? I like both that. I love the nature in her forge, and it's very, very excellent. But I also like everything that medieval people they have all these great myths about how things are created. So it always reminds me, nature in her forge, of the thing about how bears lick their cubs into shape.
Yes.
So like if you see in a medieval bestiary, where if you look up the thing about bears, there'll always be like a mama bear licking her cubs, and the idea was that like cubs were born as just kind of like blobs, and then the mama bears would lick them until they looked like a bear. And it's like it's very similar. It's a similar vibe, you know, and I dig it.
That's great. Yeah, that's fantastic. It's oh man, the medieval mind is just oh, that's great.
A really
they
hot
lick the bears into shape.
yeah, like,
I love that.
A really, really hot bestiary to look up online. There's an entire thing online. The Aberdeen bestiary is a good thing to go and have a play around with if you want to see some fucking guys. Like there's some little animals in the Aberdeen bestiary, and it's all like completely digitized and also translated into English, so you can learn all the weird shit about, like, I don't know, pelicans, you know, piercing their own chests in order to feed their young and shit like that. It's good. You'll see some guys in there. That's my point.
Absolutely. Another thing I really like that you get in bestiaries is the etymologies, because a lot of them were drawn from, you know, earlier classical scholarship or just added in by the people that were writing them. But they're all just completely bogus.
Yeah.
But you can imagine, you know, writing them down and thinking, yeah, that makes sense, or yeah, that's good enough. Like, there's one that I read where it talked about how the word cat comes from the fact that they catch mice. And another one talking about how I know. Another one talking about how the Latin word for mouse, which is just like mus, I think, comes from the word humus, which was Latin for dirt. Mice are creatures of the dirt, which I quite like that comparison as well.
You know, just me too. They're not special, but you know. Well, yeah, I always love the weird etymologies. Like Isidore Seville, he's the number one for doing a weird etymology, and medieval people love this. Like, you'll see it show up in the most unlikely places. Like, the most fun ones are obviously the animal stuff, but like, you know, my stupid preacher, Jan Milchev Gromerzic, like when he's like talking about, oh, this Czech saint, he'll suddenly be like, and her name means like it breaks down in Czech in this way, and it's just like, shut up, Jan. Like, you know, they just do it all the time. Like, I think that there are two things that are really fun. One, that they think etymology is incredibly important and that explains the entire world. And two, how they are 100% emphatically just making it up as they go along. So it's like, it's both very, very serious and not serious enough to actually make any real study of it at all whatsoever.
I know, it's great when you can just read through Isidore of Seville's etymologies, and there's so many amazing ones. One that stuck out to me was he derives the term for walking stick, which in Latin is baculus, from the name of the god Bacchus, with the reasoning being that after you've had a few drinks, you're going to need a walking stick in order to get...
Yes! I mean, basically he's just like, and that sounds rather a lot like this, and it's like, sure, homie. Yeah,
that's how normal etymology is. Like, they're like, yeah, these two things sound the same. You're like, okay, cool. I guess. Like, I don't have any. Who the fuck can check that, really?
You hear that, Danny Bate? We're calling her out.
Look, I believe it. I 100% believe it is real and that they can prove it. But like, so much of that is, you know, you'll hear someone talking about. They'll be like, the word for, you know, the ancient Assyrian word for mom is, you know, ma, and, you know, it evolved into mother or whatever. And I'm like, sure, cool. Yeah. Total. Like, I mean, like, I guess, but like,
I mean, like, actually, that's...
It also really just seems like somebody throwing dynamite into like a lake and being like, yep, there it is. Assyrian word for mom. There we go.
I do feel like, you know, yeah, sure, I guess, is kind of like the correct relationship to any medieval anything ever. You're just like, yeah, sure, I guess, fine. Like, you just got to go with it. You just got to go with the logic. You can't fight it. You just have to go with the stream on that one, you know?
So, yeah, so, like, why do we why do humans like these weird guys so much? Because they're not, like, it's not just a medieval thing. It's not just an ancient thing. They're weird little, like, creatures that we don't really know what they are on, like, cave paintings and, you know, stuff like that. And stories have, you know, woodland sprites and, you know, demons and you know, all sorts of creatures like that. So, like, you know, what is it about a weird guy who's either going to help us or be mischievous or, you know, be bad or whatever? Why do we love that so much?
I think in part, at least with regards to modern day people, I think we see ourselves as weird little guys in a lot of ways. And I think I think that the beauty of weird guys is that the people that made them, in my mind ostensibly, were also weird guys in a sense to come up with them. And I think they're little reflections of humanity and of human ideas of what weirdness is. And I think it's fascinating to see because a lot of those ideas remain rather consistent. In the Middle Ages, a lot of people, a lot of artists clearly thought, oh, wouldn't it be amusing if I combined a guy with a snail and made a man snail? And we look at that now and we think, yeah, that's still perfectly sound reasoning. That is entertaining. That is funny. I want more of that. And I think it's a bit of a surprise to people now as well to see it and think, oh, people had a sense of humor back then and they had creativity in ways that were comparable to us.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point because I think there is this tendency, because people are starved of medieval history, right? No one ever gets to learn about it. So it just is this kind of like blank page in our minds. But if we do have it filled, it's usually with this idea that everyone's in the mud and, no one's having a good time and everyone's super religious and they listen to everything the church has to say. And they're very serious and they're very, strict Catholics or something. And I was like, no, man, they're just like, even when the church is doing it, right? Because most of these manuscripts, not to say all of them, especially towards the later medieval period when you have artists' workshops that produce a lot of things, but a lot of our manuscripts, especially the earlier ones, are all made by religious people. And they're the ones who are like, it's a sciopod and then an archer is shooting his butt because his butt's in the air. So, yeah, he's getting shot in the butt. And you're like, cool, thanks, Brother John. Nice work, right? Like...
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that especially there's so many recurring themes of monsters that have a human element. Of course, there are funny ones that just involve purely animals. But I think there's some just long-standing human fixation on things that are not quite human or partially human. I think it kind of, feels like maybe a mirror of inner human impulses. Like you have centaurs, which we know from medieval bestiaries are written as a metaphor for, sexual evils because they're half man and half beast. And so it's, a creature that's kind of ruled by the beastly impulses. And so it's always, I think, even going further back earlier than the Middle Ages, it's always a bit of a reflection of, of humanity.
Yeah, it seems that way. They just seem to crop up. Everybody likes a story, and I mean, even now, like our stories are filled, still with just like, I mean, we mentioned it earlier, Yoda. Now there's a baby Yoda. And like, I mean, every story has to have its, has to have its weird little freak, or at least the person who we assign that status to. Even if there's not actually little guys running around, we're still like, oh, it goes to this character or whatever. And that's our own pet weird guy.
I mean, what is Star Wars if not a collection of weird little guys?
Oh, that's it.
Right.
That's all Star Wars is.
Yeah.
It's like the cantina scene in the first movie is the most perfect encapsulation of that. It's 25 guys. Some of them are actual costuming that they did that were based on Ralph McQuarrie concept art drawings. Others of them are stuff where they did something and they kind of messed it up and then they went and tossed it, then went back and redid it. And you've got a guy there who's 2 feet tall, a little rat looking guy, and Chewbacca's there and he's 10 feet tall, and it's and you've got all that, and then you get Yoda and everything. And yeah, Star Wars, a lot of it is just here's a weird little guy. But in the Middle Ages, Tom Thumb from the King Arthur stories, just a weird little guy that shows up, and they have a fucking, you guys have a grave for him. It's just here's a grave for this guy. It's okay, cool,
But it's we're willing to commit to the bit. We like weird little guys so much, we will go the whole way over here. We're we'll bury that motherfucker, don't worry. Yeah. That's what's up. That's what's up.
I was just going to say, I think a metaphor that I always find myself returning to, or a comparison, and this probably says admittedly more about me than about the Middle Ages, but a way I often describe it to people is it's a little bit like Garfield the cat medieval art, because you start with something, an animal, like a cat. It doesn't have any meaning on its own, a cat. It's just a cat. But then you take it and you kind of twist it into something that's like a weird hybrid creature with human traits and human facial features and human tendencies. And all of a sudden it becomes this really interesting interplay between like, well, it's just a cat, but on the other hand, it's just like me, because it likes lasagna and it hates Mondays.
That's right.
Creates something entirely new.
That is literally my entire personality, unfortunately. So, yeah.
No, you're right. Like we assign them things, we give them personalities, we give them ideas, and the personalities are like universal tendencies. Like I promise I'll stop coming back to Star Wars at some point.
No, you won't.
But like, I try to. Like I try because like I do love it.
It's good. You're allowed to have a USP.
I'm not ashamed about that. I'm not ashamed about that. But I do try to use other things. But like you come back to Yoda and everybody thinks of Yoda as this stoic figure. You know, he's the stoic master who tells Luke how the Jedi do peace and blah, blah, blah. But the first thing you see Yoda doing is fucking around with Luke and being like a weird little hermit asshole. He like beats R2 with his cane to like try and steal food from them, and that's the first thing you do. And like, yeah, it's because he's trying to test Luke to see if Luke's gonna like violently lash out or something. But like, it's like he's just like being like he's literally just being weird and being like, I'm gonna steal your food like a dog, like a dog might, or something, like a stray dog would. And you're just like, yep, there's Yoda, our most beloved 900-year-old 36-inch tall frog. Like, love him. Let's build an entire franchise around that guy.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And it worked. Amazing. Yeah. It's I think like I think one of the things I do find interesting, especially about the ones in the medieval era that Eleanor talks about and that you share on your account and in your book, Olivia, is that like the like view into the medieval mind that they give to us, because in some ways we really aren't so different. Some of them are just like, one of my favorite ones is a guy getting an axe to a head in a battle. He's looking at the screen and has his arms up like, I guess I'll die, like that guy. And it's just like, yeah, exactly. We still have the guess I'll die look, and all that. Yeah. But then in other ways, it's like, why do you draw a horse like that? If you can so competently draw the rest of it, why does the horse look like...
The horses are hard, to be fair.
No, they are. Of course they are. And I can't draw for shit. I've said before that there are cave paintings that outdo my own skill. But like, if you can draw the rest of it to look so good, why does the front-facing horse look like a one-dimensional like a Picasso painting out of time? Yeah, and I love what they represent to the medieval mind and what we get to see about that.
Yeah, I really like too how there's mysteries, right? Like yes. I like how we have super common themes like the killer rabbits, and we're like, I don't know, man. We think maybe they thought it was funny. Right. And then people will be like, well, does it have a meaning? And we're like, we don't know. Like, I think but it's a really interesting one, right? Because medieval people have such an excellent literacy that is visual. They're not literate a lot of the time in terms of reading and writing, but you can show them a picture of like any saint and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's so-and-so. And they'll be able to tell you the whole story. They have this great understanding of Christian iconography. They really get how all of these things kind of work. But that easy understanding means that like sometimes we've just lost it completely. So if we'll be like, I don't know, and then sometimes that easy understanding and the layers of meanings that things have makes us want to ascribe meaning to things, and we're like, but maybe it isn't, maybe it's just a joke, maybe they just think that's quite funny, you know, like it because it's quite funny, and they're like, yeah, because get it, because rabbits usually scare easily, but now they're killing at night. Right. And it's like, which is like an obvious, like it's a thing to do. It could just be a doodle. It might just be a cigar, you know, not to get all Freudian, but you know, like these things kind of happen. And so I like them because they do this thing where simultaneously they bring us into this medieval world, and they're like, oh yeah, well, there's all this like joviality. There's all these complex ways of interacting with texts. You can have a really serious bit of text and then like a weird little guy for no reason. And, you know, you look at all of the different depths of meaning that you can have. And then sometimes it's like, haha, rabbit, you know, and like, I think that that's cool because these bitches contain multitudes, you know.
Definitely. And I think it's people paint the whole era with such broad strokes, and it's also so important to remember that just purely on a person-to-person basis, someone might have been following one approach, doing something that they in particular find funny, and someone might be doing something completely different. Like, one of my favorite examples is in the Rutland Psalter. There's all of these different really weird drawings of guys who are sometimes monsters, sometimes humans, sometimes hybrids, and quite a few of them are actually visual puns. And you wouldn't know this unless you were, you know, fluent or, you know, able to understand Latin and also good at reading medieval handwriting. And so it's not the kind of thing that someone like, you know, that someone like me or that most of us could engage with on their own. But for instance, there's this great page in the manuscript where there's a scene drawn at the bottom of two guys and they're fighting, and one of them is like, you know, yanking the other guy by the ear, and you look at it at first and you think this must just be, there can't be any possible explanation for this, at least not in a serious prayer book. But the psalm on that page starts with the words "give ear," as in to listen.
Wow.
And so it's a really direct pun on the text. And I think, you know, with the number of manuscripts that are out there, it's hard to imagine being able to go through and analyze it not only from a visual but also from a literary perspective. But we know that most of the people that illustrated these manuscripts probably were literate and probably did involve some interplay between the words and the drawings.
Yeah, I like this. There is a picture that I used in my book where there's this particular Psalter. It's in the States, and it's called the Clarissa Psalter. And we call it the Clarissa Psalter because there is this sermon that is against vanity. They're telling you how vanity is very badly. And on the queue, like the inhabited queue that starts the whole section, they have a woman with a long blonde braid hanging off of it. That's like the tail of the queue. And then next to it, it says Clarissa. And no, we don't know what this is. We don't know if it's like the woman who made it drew herself in and she's like, it's me, it's your girl, Clarissa. Or if they're like, yeah, vain like Clarissa, that bitch, you know, it's like, and it might be like, and it might be one or the other. And it's like either this is like a really cute nod to women in the arts who, and we have this little window on their world, or the ladies are talking shit about each other. It's like, and we just don't know. We don't know, right? Like,
that's funny, but Clarissa's got the last laugh because she's the one whose name's been remembered at least.
Yeah. So one way or another, she wins. You know, the whole Psalter's named after her now, right? Imagine trying to talk shit and then like hundreds of years later everyone is like, I don't know, maybe she wrote it. You'd be like, God damn it. Oh, my gossip has backfired, you know.
I'm a huge fan of like just the sublimely like ridiculous stuff that shows up. You got like the one where the woman is a topless woman is in bed with like a dragon, and there's a guy looking in like either being cucked or either just finding out or whatever, and you're like, sure, yeah, I guess she was sleeping with the devil.
That's
or
Merlin's
something?
mom. That's Merlin's mom. And
Yeah.
And it's like, and so see, okay, so this is the thing is like, that's weird about my life is I'm like, duh, Luke, that's a really legible and obvious thing. Clearly that's Merlin's mom. And yes, that is his mom's husband getting cucked, looking through the cuck door. Duh.
Obviously.
And it's like, and that's the thing that's so funny about this is that like you show a medieval person out, they're like, ha, Merlin. And we're like, what's this about shagging a dragon? It's just like we lost it, right? And then I forget that I'm like this hyper nerd, like Turbo Nerd 5000 over here, where I'm like, Luke. Honestly, we all know that. We all know this classic way. Yeah.
I had forgotten that story. Honestly,
there's so many cucks to remember in Arthurian literature.
Yeah,
it's difficult to keep all your cucks straight.
I like that he and the dragon are just like he's just staring the dragon down eye to eye. He's like, if I'm gonna get cucked and beat off behind this door, I'm gonna look at you.
And the dragon's like, you like that shit?
Better than you, huh, bitch? It's fascinating, like looking at some of these that I've put together for the, for this tier list, and it's just like, some of them are, Mary the Virgin Mary punching the devil. Hell yeah! Like,
I mean, that goes. Yeah. That fucking goes.
Like, like you, and you know what that's about. And then there's a shell, a snail shell with the head of a baby on it. You're just like, yeah, cool, whatever. Like, it's like, sure, man. I also love baby snails, I guess. Like, I mean, yeah, we anthropomorphize animals all the time, so I guess it's not surprising that they did it too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that actually that's a really good point, and an interesting thing, because there is this big, like one of the kind of myths about medieval people is that they don't know what they're doing, and that like they don't anthropomorphize animals. They don't have the same feelings towards animals as we do. And that like they don't look at them and see cute little dudes that they want to take care of. And it's not true. And you can tell from stuff like that, Like there's that, that weird rumor about how like all medieval Europeans killed all the cats one time because the Pope told them to, which is just like, no, bro. What the fuck?
I've never even heard that one.
Yeah,
I mean, I believe you. I'm just like, I've never.
It's fully not true. But basically, there's like I had to see like a cat site on Instagram talk about it once, and they were like, "Oh, the Pope said that all cats were demonic, and so everyone in Europe killed their cats, and that's why there were so many more rats, and that's why you got the Black Death." And it's like, so everything you just said is wrong. Cool, but like that's the story people like to tell about medieval people, right? They like to tell that story instead of like lol cat snail, which is much more understandable, right?
No, definitely. I mean, especially where pets are concerned. There's the amount of evidence and firsthand accounts we have of people in the Middle Ages saying, "Oh, I love my weird little guy. He sleeps at the foot of my bed and we hang out and we're besties." Like, there's absolutely no doubt about it. I loved reading Master of Game, which is the medieval hunting treatise, and he talks about the qualities that of dogs and about canine nature, and says things like, dogs are very faithful, very loyal, very sweet, very smart, very driven, very committed, very compassionate. And he just like goes on and on and on about dogs to the point where sometimes I read it and I think, he's bigging them up a little bit. Like, a lot of dogs aren't that smart. Especially because he's probably talking in large part about greyhounds, which are like they're not that smart.
No. God bless them. But they are very pretty.
They are such elegant noodles.
Oh yeah. And you know what? And that's what Saint Guinevere is. So they can also be very holy guys, provided the church doesn't come around asking too many questions, right?
Yep.
You just like, I guess it takes all kinds. It's like, it is weird, the like rumors that get kind of the rumors that come out of this, because you're just kind of like, how did you come about this rumor? Like, were you just like, well, there were more rats, and so the Black Death. But if there had been cats around, they would have taken out the rats. And you're like, like, how how did we get here to this place when like it's very clear that they had animals as pets? Like, I don't like. What we domesticated dogs 15,000 years ago. It didn't just skip 1,000 years like recently. Like, where we're just like, no.
Well, it
fuck you.
Also, imagine trying to get rid of all cats. Like, just like imagine.
It's like
that.
trying to get rid of all the emus or sparrows.
Yeah, I was like, it's just not gonna happen. So yeah.
Also, New York has tens of thousands of stray cats, and they still have a fucking rat. Whatever.
Anyway, never mind. Don't trouble your mind about it. You can't. Like, people think that medieval people are stupid, and then they'll come out with things like that, and you literally just can't. So, yeah.
And it's like, well, I mean, maybe they are stupid, but it's for different reasons. Damn
That's
it.
right.
Different reasons.
That's right.
Oh, that, yeah. I just like. So, when we're looking at these, and I think like a lot of times we all kind of think about them coming up just in illuminated manuscripts, and so it's just like religious text mostly or something like that, where these people were doodling. So it was all done by like monks or maybe scholars or whatever. But do we have some that are just like regular people who like who did their own doodles or whatever, found the time and basically did like medieval vandalism and threw a weird guy in the local Psalter or whatever?
Well, I think there's a lot of different genres of weird guys, and they often tend to get conflated by people, I think, because a lot of what's described as marginalia is kind of just like notes and doodles by people that owned these books, because that was what was done at the time. Was if you own a book, then you write in it. You might add notes, you might add translations, you might add in arrows pointing at things you think are particularly relevant, and because you're sitting there and you've got the quill in your hand anyways, you might do some silly little doodles. And so a lot of them were scholars, but they weren't made with the intention of being decorative works of art necessarily. They really are just what was on the brain at the time. Like, there's one page that I saw from a manuscript that's just like clearly someone's random doodles, because it's like 9 or 10 or maybe even more drawings of like a person's face at a 3/4 angle, and like just the face and the hair. And I love that, because like that's what I would draw in my sketchbook when I was 12 and wanted to be a big fancy artist. So there is a lot of that. It's like the medieval version of drawing like a bunch of different eyeballs or something, one really intricately detailed eye. But then yeah, you do get a lot more kind of intentionally executed illustrations, and some of those were made by monks and by scholars, especially, as Eleanor said earlier on, in the Middle Ages, basically all manuscripts were made by clergy, and often for clergy. But then later on, as there grew this big demand for fancy schmancy books that you could put on your shelf and use to show off, a lot or most of production moved into secular workshops. And so the people that were drawing in these manuscripts, most likely, we don't know a lot about them, and we don't know often their names or anything about their life stories. Most likely, most of them were literate, because I think it just, you can imagine it just would have made the job a lot easier.
Yeah, it's like, how'd you get a hold of this otherwise, buddy?
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't want to mix up and accidentally, I don't know, put Satan where Jesus is supposed to go, or vice versa. So yeah, we don't necessarily have complete accounts of who these people were, and I think that's to an extent will always be a little bit of a mystery, because in a lot of ways they weren't necessarily like fine artists in the and there wasn't as much of an emphasis on the artist. In a lot of ways they were more like craftspeople or tradespeople then, 100 years later, you'd get Da Vinci, and even, at the sort of tail end of the 15th century, Albrecht Dürer, drawing himself as Christ, as the creator. But that was, not really something that you saw in the Middle Ages.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the just the way that, some of it is very intentionally worked into the text itself, like there's like one of like a rabbit that is hanging a guy, and it's worked into like the big ornate first letter that they do. I forget what that's actually called, but it's worked into that, and you have these others that are like beautifully done scenes, and then as we said, there's a bat or a dog playing a violin or something like that. You just got the medieval version of Good Will Hunting, but instead of doing math problems, he's just drawing like really intricate, weird freaks, and you're just like,
hell yeah,
cool, man, whatever.
Yeah, dude. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I mean, show me a really good inhabited initial any day, and I'm hyped. So, yeah.
They do add a certain, elegance, a certain refinement
That's right.
to the whole thing.
That's right.
Yeah. Eleanor, do you have anything else you wanted to get to here?
No, I just wanted to talk about the guys. I mean, like, like Olivia's already nailed it. It's interesting because it's like, most of what you see, I think, like when the things are really cool. If you see like a really cool guy, it's usually going to be someone put it there on purpose. It's going to be a little bit less of a doodle. When we have like doodles, it'll be like wild manicules or, this, that, or the other. But certainly as the period goes on, you kind of in some ways lose little guys, although you get like more and more intricate and rich images that you will have. So like if a 15th century manuscript, for example, might have like really gorgeous, like, I'm thinking of the Treasures of the Duc de Berry, right? Where it's like, you see like the coolest version of a chateau and, people doing their work, and it's absolutely stunning. And are there like weird little guys in it? Yeah. Like the labor of the month for February, there's like a guy getting his balls out next to the fire, but he's like not weird. It's just like a dude acting up. Right. Like, so you, in that, you're not going to find, like grotesques, for example. That's not going to exist. Whereas you're going to find grotesques all over 12th century manuscripts when you have more kind of production within monasteries or nunneries. These are the guys who are like, yeah, making a little horse with a sheep head, or like, or just like whatever, definitely. Like, so they're just wiling out, right? But the fancier the manuscripts are, when you have like more professional artists, then you get away from all of that, right? Because monks are absolutely allowed to / encouraged to illustrate manuscripts, but they are not going to be doing that kind of like 8 hours a day every day. They also have to copy out the text and blah, 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 and go pray, things of this nature, right? So they're never going to get the level of skill that a dedicated artisan is going to have, right?
Well, yeah. So yeah, let's rank some weird
guys.
Some weird guys. If y'all want to, I included a link to the tier maker that I made for this, just so you can see, just so you can see the guys that I'm talking about, and I'll put them in the tiers you guys are talking about, and then in my own, and and we can go from there. But y'all ready to do this?
I'm ready.
All right, cool. So the first one we got here is it is a guy with the lower body, or the shell of, I guess, a snail, and the upper body of a human, who has a bow and arrow, and he is fighting against a rabbit with a sword and shield, who is riding what looks to be a lion. So what are you, Olivia, what are you going with here? And the rankings, in case you don't know, if you're not familiar, listeners, the rankings for tiers like this, they go from S, which is the best, I don't actually know what the S stands for. Special, spectacular, super, what, I don't know. And then A, B, C, and D. Yeah, so where, Olivia, where do you rank this guy?
Well, just out of curiosity, are there any, just to make sure we're all on the same page, is there any sort of particular criteria we're going for? Is it
vibes? It's gotta be vibes.
Whether they'd win in a fight. Okay.
Yeah, vibes. Like if you're just like I fucking hate snails. Like they weird me out, and you just throw them all in D. That's cool. I don't like spiders or whatever. So yeah. But no, just whatever you feel.
Okay, I would give this one, I would say, an A tier. I think it hits on all of the great elements you get in medieval art: violent rabbits, weird hybrid guys, snails. There's nothing about it that makes me like, fall in love with it, I would say. But I think it's still a banger.
This is I agree. I think this is like solid. It is, but it's also very clearly, I feel like, it's trying to pander to us. It's like, you like that? You like a rabbit? You like a snail? What do you like? What do you like? I'm doing it.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, and so it's too confused to be S tier, right? It does. It lacks the clarity of vision that I want from a truly S tier, version. So yeah, I mean, I'd even be willing to go B on this, although it is, of course, excellent. But I we're gonna struggle to get me to say anything is below a B, but
that's the thing with me too. I would give this one a B, not because I dislike it or anything, just because I think it's cool, but fine, and I think there are others here who are better, but yeah, it's gonna be hard. I think I might throw some of these in the lower categories just
to be me.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah, just because but yeah, I'll give it a B.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Throw that shit in B.
Yeah. So next up, we have a guy playing what looks to be a violin, and another guy who is feeling the beat so hard he has bent over backwards and is touching his toes, or is touching his heels as he's bent over backwards. So he's just like, medieval beat drop. He's ready to go. What do we think here?
This is a personal favorite of mine. I feel like you can really feel this one, right? You know exactly what these motherfuckers are getting at in this. Yeah. They're all like, when the bass drops, you're like, we all know this classic way, right? When you're like, you're just so fucking ready to get down. It's excellent. Yeah. I think it's excellent.
I think it either is or is inspired by or reminds me of, I think it's a biblical story. It might be Salome when she danced.
Salome. Yeah.
So I think because I like that in that story it's set up as like this really seductive dance she does to enthrall people, and then in medieval manuscripts she's like contorted herself into a donut, and everyone is just kind of watching like, okay,
like she's sexy kind of dance, like about to risk it all for the.
About to risk it all for this woman who is like turning herself into a roly-poly bug, and you're just like,
yeah, dude.
Everybody knows the hottest thing you could do is show off your belly button. I guess.
I mean, she's flexible, so I'll give her that.
Good. Yeah. She's doing better than I am on flexibility. So are we thinking S or A, or what do you, Eleanor? What do you think?
I'm willing to go S tier on this, but I can be talked into A if everyone else.
No,
S is for Salome.
Yeah,
you have your truth.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I like anything puzzlingly sexual. So
that's true.
We're gonna see a lot of that in the same level, I think. So yeah.
Olivia, what do you got here?
For this one, I would say my first instinct was A, but I'm happy to give this one an S because it is a banger.
It bangs.
Well, I actually think it's better if you guys have slightly different ones, like different rankings, so we can
All right, I'll save mine. Okay.
Yeah. So like Eleanor, like S, and then Olivia, you could be A, and I'll be A. I think it's great. I love this guy. This is exactly what I do when listening to LCD sound system. You know.
This is how I feel when Daft Punk is playing at my house.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. When you hit the beat on Dance Yourself.
Yeah,
Clean.
that's exactly what I was thinking.
the tone shift and Dance Yourself Clean. And you're just like, yeah,
woo! The real old
right,
people
yeah.
jams hours. Fuck yeah. Yeah.
A tier for me. Love whatever the fuck is happening there. Next, we've got, as I said, it's a big indented letter, and a rabbit is quite gleefully lynching I don't know,
hunter. I think it's a hunter.
A hunter, yeah, someone like that, on the ornamented T that begins the writing. So yeah, what a Olivia, what do you think about this one right here?
I would say this one, to me, my first instinct would be A. I really like this one, actually. I really like the two rabbits. I really like that the guy looks like he's praying. I like how he's integrated into the T. Like, he kind of is the downstroke of the T. And in general, I like this sort of, Romanesque style. It's something a little bit different. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
The monochrome as well.
Yeah, I really agree with that. I like how it's making use of the initial. It's not just an image around the initial. The image is the initial, and that's really cool. I like the detail work on it too. He's got his cool hunting horn there. You can see that he's got this really cool kind of embroidered border on his jerkin, which is really nice. I like the spots on the rabbits. I think that it's these little lovely cross hatchings and everything that make it go hard.
Yeah, it's really hard to say anything bad about this one. The rabbits are just so happy about it, and the guy is like praying to God, fantastic. I put it in A. I think it's really good.
I'm going A.
Yeah. It's just. It's so well done. Like, I mean, it's it's not my it's not my favorite out of any of these by any means, but like, it's so ornate and so well done in the T, and I think that's really cool. Yep. Next up, we've got a disconcerted warthog wearing jean shorts.
I love him. I don't know.
The hog and jorts.
I love the jorts hog.
Yeah.
Like, it's so simple. It's just the jorts hog. I got nothing else there, but does it need to have anything else?
No, I don't.
I just how are you going to improve on jorts hog?
He's so sad looking. He's just like, I guess I gotta be here.
It's a living.
I gotta wear my jorts.
That's what I think. To me, this one, I can't imagine ranking it anything other than S, because it's just like his look is like, it's sad, but it's also like a very complex sad. It's like doleful or morose.
Yeah.
He's kind of resigned, but he's kind of sad as well. And it's just, I think it contains multitudes, and I think this is one I've posted on Twitter before, and it just gets such a broad spectrum of reactions. I think everyone sees themselves reflected in the jorts hog.
Yeah, he's so good. Oh.
He's great. I wonder if there's another one, that is lost to history, where it's like, do hogs wear jorts like this, or like this? And there's another of him wearing it on the lower. Yeah. Oh man, I've got it in S too.
S tier for me. Yeah.
Just nothing bad to say here. He's just fantastic. He's hunchback, he's just so oh god, the world is weighing him down.
It's real Eeyore eyes,
Yes.
Yeah. Next up, we've got three, I guess soldiers, knights. Look like knights. Actually,
one's a woman.
Also looks. Yeah, one of them's a woman brandishing
that is a spindle
or something.
It's a spindle.
Oh, excuse me, a spindle. I'm sorry. And they are fighting a snail in front of a castle. So where are we going with this?
I love this snail. I'm a real snail partisan. My doodle, my resting doodle is snails, and it always has been since I was 4. I just enjoy to draw snails because of my presumably because of my medieval forebears. I don't know. So I really like the snail. Hugely pro the snail. Love the castle in the background. That's excellent. But I don't like how we're gonna kill my little guy, the snail. Like, why? Leave him alone? The snail did, as the proud owner of a large snail pet. Why are we out here killing giant snails, guys?
Yeah,
you're getting marked down in my book for being mean to the guy.
Well, it's 3 against 1 as well, which I don't know. It hardly seems fair.
No.
Yeah, I just think it's unfortunate. Better rights for snails.
That's right, snail-based rights. I'm like, I'm not going to show this to Flash my snail.
No. So, are you guys A, B? What are we doing here?
See, it's really beautiful. This is like, you can tell that this is professional. Right, so this is going to be a workshop drawing, almost certainly. And you can also tell that it's later, based on what they're wearing and the colors they're in. So it's really, really. I mean, things like the castle having rounded towers, for example, shows you that it's a later example. So it's really gorgeous. But somebody's got to go in C tier. And it's C's here for the haters, for me.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't like the detail with which the woman's boobs have been shaded. I feel like whoever was the artist they spent a little bit too much time on that, Yeah. It feels a little bit problematic to me.
And I feel that.
They're looking at it a little bit.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, you're just like, a lot of detail there, less detail on other things.
Yeah, like the guys have armor. They look very practical.
And they're like, at this lady's titties. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like. I like it. It's not my favorite. It is obviously gorgeous. It also just reminds me of this thing in Elden Ring where you fight. You have to go in. You have to fight like a big magical snail in a cave, and it always reminds me of that. But yeah, I'm gonna put it in C as well because we've got a lot of guys on this list, and
someone's got to go there.
Next,
and that one's that's the hater tier for those who are hating.
Yeah. Next up is I think it's Alexander. In a submersible, and there are a bunch of fish, weird fish.
Yeah.
At least a couple of fish that look like they have like heads of normal creatures or of land creatures, and they're just kind of surrounding him and looking at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you're right. This is Alexander the Great in the diving sphere. So one of the legends about him is he went underwater to see what was up, and I always get hyped to see the diving sphere personally.
I think I have to be a bit controversial with this one. This one's actually going to be a D from me. Bottom tier. And I think it's because there's different versions of the story of Alexander in the Bathysphere, and there's different illustrations. There's quite a few illustrations I've seen, and this one is actually leaving out like all of my favorite details from the scene in the story. So in some of the versions, he takes like a cat and a chicken with him.
Yeah, I love those ones.
I absolutely love. And I think part of the story as well is that in the boat that he's like being dangled down from, I think his like girlfriend or wife is there, but she's like cheating on him while he's underwater. And
normal, yeah.
I like that I like that detail as well, but I don't see that in this one. So I feel like for lost potential, this one has to be bottom tier.
Eleanor, thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think we are getting some really good points off of Olivia here. It's cool. I like the little faces on the fishies. I think probably my favorite thing about this though is the fishy faces. It's lacking the cat. It's lacking Phyllis cucking Alexander, which Phyllis cucking Alexander being some of my favorite motifs in art. It's just like I just want to see Aristotle getting ridden by Alexander the Great's wife. That's what I want to see in art. So I think that we can safely say D because I'm like must try harder, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be the only one to put it in D just because I'm not
because we're against great man theory here.
It's fine, yeah. I just I do remember when I was looking at these, there was like a more ornate one where he's got the fish. And I don't know why I grabbed this one of it, but yeah. Yeah, so that's Alexander. Everybody's kind of meh on this representation of it. But next we've got a real beloved one, and it is just a cute little drawing of a bat with a smile on its face.
Fuck yes, S tier, bang.
Yeah, S tier.
That's my boy. That's my boy, though.
Any argument?
No, yeah, I love this guy. He's just so cute. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, he's just like.
I mean, there's nothing you can do with this guy. He's perfect.
There's nothing bad to say about him. It could have been drawn by a 10-year-old. It could have been drawn by a 60-year-old monk. Doesn't matter. It's good shit. We love this guy. Next up, the Virgin Mary punching the devil in the face while holding something. I don't know what she's holding, but yeah, just fucking nailing him right in the face. What do we got here?
I mean, that's very, very good. So it looks like she's holding a letter that's got a seal on it there. Okay. So that's good. So she's probably like, says here, I got a license to punch the devil in the face. Excellent. For me, this is A tier because I like, there's stuff like the holding the letter, detail. I like the devil's jaunty scarf. I like the weird little spikes coming out of his feet. I like how his nose looks kind of like a dick. And yeah. I just think it's funny to watch Mary punching the devil. It's not my very, very favorite Mary punching the devil, but it's high on the list, so I'm going A tier personally.
Yeah, I think I agree with A tier. I think there's a strong moral message about the dangers of trying to steal other people's mail. Mm-hmm. But it's also a very kind of, illuminating lesson about fashion as well, because we have, representations of different fashion choices. Like, she's dressed very modestly, he's dressed very skanky. Both are valid. Mm-hmm. So I think A.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing against this. Good for her. Just fucking knock that dude out. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I love
Fuck
it.
Yeah.
I love that they were just like, this guy getting punched in the fucking right between the eyes. No symbolism needed here. Virgin Mary's beating the devil. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, we've got, oh man, I forget the name of this one, but it is
St. George and the Dragon.
Is this?
Surely.
Yeah. Saint George and the Dragon. George is riding a horse. There is a bunch of red crosses on white fields. Motifs here. He's stabbing the dragon, and then I guess is that also the Virgin Mary?
No, that's the princess that he's rescuing. So she also becomes a saint as well. So hot tip for those who are trying to do saint identification. If you see the red cross on the white field, that's the St. George's cross. So you're dealing with St. George. You're also going to know that you're dealing with St. George if he's on a horse and he is stabbing a dragon. You got your St. Michael if he has wings and he's stabbing a dragon. And then in which case that dragon is the personification of the devil during the war between heaven and the fallen angels. So that's just some hot tips for identifying saints killing dragons. Yes.
Nice. So yeah, what do you guys think about this this particular entry?
For me, sorry.
No, you go first.
For me, this one's gonna be D tier.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
Sorry about that.
Good Lord.
I watched Wales get beaten in the football last night. I was quite sad. I was rooting for Wales.
Everyone's rooting for Wales.
Yeah. So seeing a dragon get stabbed is kind of twisting the knife, literally and figuratively. That's making me quite upset. And especially the fact that who's doing it? The man wearing the England flag. Was it the England flag at the time? I don't know.
I think we didn't have flags, but yes.
Exactly.
But it doesn't matter. Retroactively, they get assigned it. So.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Abolish English rugby. All right? England does not deserve a rugby team. They should be banned from playing rugby. Do not at me. Do not talk to me about this until you can stop singing that fucking song. It's weird and racist. Knock it off. Jesus Christ. Fucking English rugby. Okay, no, I'm right. That, like, Olivia's wound me up. That's right. It's straight to D tier. Boo. 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 I was forced to remember that the English rugby team existed, and then I put this picture of St. George in D tier. Look. That's what happened.
I was going to put it there for its virulent anti-dragon propaganda, which I just won't stand for.
It is hater coded.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful, just awful. Get out of here, you guys. Leave that poor dragon alone. Next up, I don't even know what the fuck to call this thing. It's got like a blue body, black legs, kind of looks like Goofy from Mickey Mouse. I don't know what this thing is.
I think he's got like I'm like baby ox head is what I would say.
Okay,
like that,
okay.
And it's got like peacock colors on the body. But
yeah,
he's
true,
just like
true.
he's just a little grotesque. He's just a little guy.
Yeah, I don't really have anything against him, but I don't have any particular deep love for him either.
He makes me a little sad. I don't know. He
makes me a bit I don't know, uncomfortable. He looks like he's either whining about something or like judging me for something, and I don't know. It's kind of negative.
He's like, damn girl, you're gonna wear that?
Oh God,
fuck you, man. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm putting him in B tier because I think there's better little guys, and he's killing the vibe. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna. Right. Yeah. I think B as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna put him. I'm gonna put him in C. He's fine. I got nothing against him, but they're better on here. Speaking of the next one, probably my favorite of the non-Yoda variety is this dragon that is
so cute.
Happily breathing fire. It is a dragon. It's not a wyvern or a drake or anything. It's got wings and 4 legs and a cute curly tail like a pig. Well, longer than a pig, but still. Love this guy. One of my favorites. I found it through your account, Olivia. Just fucking adore this
guy. He's straight to S tier. No, it's exactly what I want to see when I open a medieval manuscript. He's so cute. He looks like a little baby hippo or something, but he's a dragon. He's so excellent. He's so excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, same. Nothing to say here other than that guy's great. Next up we have I believe it's a Hydra fighting.
This is the Beast of the Abyss, and also the 9-headed beast, which the Whore of Babylon will ride. Right? Yeah, in the Book of Revelations. For me, this is straight to S tier because it's my favorite guys. Now I understand we don't all like the Book of Revelations as much as me, but you could say, the guy on the left, see, he's the beast from the abyss, the one with like the leopard spots, and he's come out, and then the other beast is giving him one of his crowns. Excellent shit. I get so hyped whenever the beasts come out to play. I like the leopard spots. I like how clearly high John of Patmos was when he wrote Revelation. Perfect. The Apocalypse, like the best book of the Bible. Hell yeah, let's fucking go. This is my shit right here.
Olivia, thoughts?
I wouldn't say I'm extremely hot on this guy. I find like the style that he's executed in, it's not like, there's nothing really about it that jumps out at me. And yeah, I wouldn't say I have any strong feelings about him, so I'd probably put him in B for me.
Okay, cool. Yeah, for me, I think I'm gonna go with B as well. I like it. But we've got a lot more here. I do like the dragons. If the Whore of Babylon herself was riding on the back of the
that's my girl.
Here, I would bump it up a bit. But
word.
But yeah. Next up we have.
This is the 3 living and the 3 dead.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and this is obviously. Cropped up after the Black Death and all that. So what do you guys think about this one? It's obviously gorgeous.
Yeah, it's beautiful, this one. I love the 3 living and the 3 dead as memento mori. I also like it because it's got great class overtones, because it's always like, hey, fuck rich people. So I always love that. And I really like the incredibly rich backgrounds. on this one. I like the real red under the living and the real blue with the dead. Always excited to see the 3 living and the 3 dead me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like their little kind of shroud outfits as well.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they're in varying states of undress, the 3 dead.
Mm-hmm.
I like that there's just the one guy who's naked.
Yeah, the more dead you get, the sexier it is. That's how it works. Yeah.
Yeah. So A tier, S tier.
I'm going A.
This one A, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going A because there are examples of it that I like more, but this is a really good one.
Cool. Yeah. It's really well done. I got nothing against it. It's nice. I like the motif. That's about it. It doesn't speak to me the same way that a lot of these do, but that's okay. Because we've got more that do. Next up, we've got a guy being fucking just stabbed to death. He's being stabbed in the chest. He's being stabbed in the head, like sword, like into his head. We've got blood. We've got gore. We've got another guy about to hit him with another sword. What do you think?
This one, I think, for me is S tier. I've talked about this one a bit before and my love for it, but what I really like is that it's from a manuscript of songs, and it's basically this guy's author portrait, I think, for a song that he wrote, which just adds like another inexplicable dimension to it, because all of the other author portraits are like, this guy's on a horse, this guy's with a lady, and there's just this one that's like, and this guy's getting stabbed. So yeah, I like it. I think S tier both for execution and for backstory.
This is from the Codex Manassa, and you can go look it up. Like, it's all digitized and online. And like Olivia said, it's a series of like all of these various princes and counts were asked to put together a version of a love song that they'd written. They're called mini singing. And some of them are like, oh, my girlfriend is using a winch to bring me into my room. And this guy's like, I'm getting stabbed in the fucking head. Which is very metal.
Life is pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eleanor, what do you got? A, S, B?
I'm going to go A because I like it very much. I just think that there is we're about to come to my favorite guy getting stabbed, and I need to save some room in S here for that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've got him in A too. Hard to argue with it being great.
So
but
good.
Next up is the Guess I'll Die guy. He's in a battle in full chainmail. He's got blood all over him, and unfortunately is taking either an axe or a halberd to the head, and not looking good for him. And with his last ounce of strength, he threw his arms up in a shrug and basically said, "Guess I'll die."
Yeah, I love this one. This is straight to S tier for me. He's like the shruggy emoji. Which is still my favorite, and which modern emojis still can't come up to actually replicating. It's so good. I like the detail work on his mail. I like that you see like the folds of the cloth underneath on his skirt, like really great level of detail work, and then also very funny. So yeah, classic.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. On that, I'd also give this one an S. Maybe I'm inflating my rankings, but I don't care. I love all of them.
We're allowed to do that. It's fine.
Also, sorry, just wanted to say, I think I've got to wrap up in about 10 minutes.
So let's go. Let's fucking go. We'll hurry it up.
All right, yeah.
Sorry.
Next up, we've got
it's a skiapod getting
a skiapod. That's right. Yeah, with an orange head in his chest. He's shooting a bow and arrow, and the arrow has flown up.
The skiapod is getting got by the arrow, and it's the guys with the head in their chest are Blemier.
Yeah, he's shooting an arrow that has somehow come down, defied the laws of physics and gravity, and come down and done a complete turn to hit this skiapod right in the asshole. So yeah, what do we got here?
I think I'm going B. I think you can't go below B because it's a really good butthole joke. And also, I always like to see the monstrous races, so I'm going B.
Yeah, that's fair. I think, gosh, I'm trying to remember because I actually wrote, this is also from the Rutland Psalter, I believe, and I actually wrote a blog post about this one ages ago. And I think the arrow is connected to, at least in my version of it, the word is cut off. But it's a word that involves like the concept of penetration or something, or the word penetration. And so there's a visual pun going on where he's being literally penetrated by the word.
Ho, ho, ho.
Awesome.
For
So I think for
That's
that,
awesome.
that one makes this one an A for me.
I guess,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
If there's a pun, I think then I'm going to have to knock it up to A. There you go.
I like it. I'm a big fan of the arrow defying gravity to make the joke. Yeah, good shit there. Next up, we've got just a fucking weird one. It looks like a camel with no humps wearing a shawl, and a dog or something with the face of a human is sniffing or blowing into its ass.
I think this is a comment on women being horny. I think that the dog is supposed to have like a woman's head, and it's like, you know how the ladies be.
Yeah.
So in which case I'm putting it in B because I'm like this old chestnut.
I got. I don't know how I found that one. I was just like, yep, that's a guy.
Yeah,
I
that's
guess.
definitely guys for sure. We like them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, we've got a dog playing a violin on the top of a tree, and he's just, I don't know what he's doing.
It's fine.
He's playing up there. He's just having himself a time. The dog that learned the violin.
I'm giving it C because it's like, yeah, fine. Like I'm not mad about it. But
Yeah.
like it's not keeping me up at night.
Yeah, I think that's. I don't dream of him when I fall asleep. Definitely not. Yeah, I think C. I would more or less agree with.
Yeah, I got C as well. I like him, but there are other greats here, including this next one for me. We've got a cardinal, a red bird of some kind with golden wings, and it has like 20 eyes. I'm calling it biblically accurate bird. I love it. I love biblically accurate whatever jokes. So yeah, I'm going with A on this one.
Yeah,
I love this
I'm
guy.
guessing. I think because I think that the said bird has a halo, and he's got golden
Yeah,
wings.
he
So I
does,
think
yeah.
that this is meant to be John, the apostle John / writer of the book of John. So they all have animals that are guys that are assigned to them. So Matthew is an angel, Mark is a lion, Luke is a bull, and John is a bird. And oftentimes people had confused John, who wrote the gospel, with John the Revelator, who wrote Revelation. And they thought that he was the same guy at the same time. So they're just like, yeah, throw some fucking eyes on him. And I say yes to that. And I think A plus work.
Yeah, I'd give this one an A as well. I just think the execution is great. Like the colors are beautiful, just great composition. I like him.
It's a gorgeous thing, yeah.
We're about to hit
Next up-
multiple S tiers for me. So like, we could just fucking roll
next
through.
up we've got the dick section. First we got a naked woman riding a
Dick and ball
balls
dragon
with a head.
It's a dick and ball dragon.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
S. Move on. Thank you. We've all been there. We've all been out here riding the dick and ball dragon. We love the dick and ball dragon. And also it was on the cover of my friend Carissa Harris's excellent Obscene Pedagogies, which I recommend. So
There you go. Yeah. I like him. I'm giving him an S as well. This is pro dragon propaganda, so yeah, I'm here for it. Olivia, S, A.
I think
What do you
I'll
think?
give this one an A.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I do like it quite a lot. I like the detail with which the phallus is rendered, and I like its little phallus face.
Yeah, and its vestigial phallus tail back there is kind of nice too. We got 5 more, and the first one is kind of famous. It is a woman pruning the dick tree and putting them into a basket. What are we feeling here? I'm already moving this.
That's
to S
S.
tier for
This is
Eleanor.
S for me. Yeah, it's so this is from the BNF's Ramon de la Rose, which is full of many such good things, and it's part of a series of vignettes where the nuns are collecting dicks from the phallus tree. Then a nun goes and like finds a monk, leads him around by the dick and balls, and then they have sex in a haystack. So,
Classic.
S
Average Tuesday night.
absolutely S tier shit.
As you do.
Oh, also, fine detail work on this. If you zoom in, you can kind of see her vag rendered in the cloth of her dress. Sharp-eyed viewers will notice. I have a pin of this. S all the way. Thank you.
Yeah, S for me on this one as well. Love the dick tree. Love the whole thing. Next up, we have I mentioned it earlier. Was it Merlin's mom getting
railed by a dragon?
Getting railed by a dragon while her dad looks on from the cuck door. I'm going A. I love it. Love the dragon. Love the cucking. A plus. Good job.
For me, it's S tier for all the same reasons.
Yeah, I'm gonna say S. I think this one is
Nice.
Alexander's Conception.
Oh, actually, no, you're right. It is Alexander's Conception. Yeah, I stand
yeah.
corrected.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because Merlin's Conception is the one with the black demon. It's Alexander the Great's Conception. Still,
Okay.
it's got it all. It's got cooking. It's got dragons. It's got really cool wallpaper.
Yep.
S tier. We love it.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Completely with you.
Yep. All right. Last few. We got I guess it's a baby with the body of a snail shell. It's just kind of there looking.
D tier for me.
Dazed
If
and
I'm
confused
expected,
like a
if I'm
baby.
expecting to see a fucking snail pop out and it's a baby, I'm pissed. D tier.
And conversely, if I'm, expecting to have a baby and this creature pops out,
Oh, that would be good.
negative experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw it in C tier because, he's just kind of there. He's not my favorite. He doesn't bring me joy like the way the others.
He does not spark
do.
joy. This is like a Marie Kondo shit.
Nope.
Yeah. Okay.
Nope. And all right, we've come to it. We got two more. First up, Medieval Yoda. It is a guy with giant Yoda, a green guy with giant Yoda ears, wearing what looks to be a monk's habit or some other kind of robe. Fantastic. 10 of 10. Can't beat it. Number one guy. Let's go. What do we got? What do you guys got?
He just doesn't do it for me. I'm just like C tier. I'm like, there's this guy.
No, I like this guy. This guy's S tier
Yes.
for me. I think there's something about his facial expression that I find really endearing. I don't know. He kind of looks like a little ragamuffin or something. I posted him on Twitter once with the caption I think I wrote, like and share if you want to affirm him, ignore if you want him to die. He just looks like a guy who's in a difficult situation. He looks like someone you would want to take under your wing and be like, it's okay, little medieval Yoda.
Yeah.
I understand you.
Yeah. Huge fan. Eleanor, heartbreaking.
It's I don't know, man.
The worst thing that's ever happened. No. Last up, I know, Olivia, you got to go. Last up, we got briefly the cover art for the show was a blue hand with a tail with green legs holding an axe. I really don't know how to I really don't know what to call it other than that. A tier. Love this
A
guy.
tier for sure.
Huge fan.
Love it. Love his work. Why not?
I'm with you.
Yeah, really, really strong to just forego head and go straight to the axe. Excellent work. Yeah.
Yeah, huge fan of it. Yeah, that is all 25 of them. We will post. I will post pictures of them on Twitter and everything, and on the Patreon post pictures of our rankings, so you guys can take a look at them. And also, I guess if you want to rank them yourself, you can go to tiermaker.com and search for I believe, what did I title this?
Rank the weird medieval guys, I think.
Rank the weird medieval guys. Yeah, so you can go and check that out and do everything. But Olivia, no, you got to go. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This was so much fun. tell us, what do you have to plug? I know you also have a podcast, a medieval history podcast.
Yes, I do. I've got the Weird Medieval Guys podcast, so please do go check that out. Give it a listen. It's me and my friend Aaron, who is a serious, legitimate historian.
Well, that makes one of us. I'm neither serious. I'm legitimate, but not serious. So.
And we've got lots of great episodes, so yeah, check that out. And of course, my book, as Luke mentioned, came out last year. Still can be gotten everywhere online where good books are sold, such as mine. It is very good. Please check it out as well.
Hell yeah. And the Twitter account is fantastic. One of my favorites, at Weird Medieval. Eleanor, what do you got?
I've actually got a blog post up this week where I am taking people on a virtual tour of Bologna's medieval canals. So check that out, going-medieval.com. Of course, the paperback of The Once and Future Sex is out now, wherever good books are sold, and I'm taking it personally if you haven't bought it by now. And then otherwise, you can find me on the socials at Going Medieval.
Yeah, and, same stuff for me. Luke is amazing on the socials. My old show, People's History of the Old Republic, is about Star Wars, and you can check it out wherever you're listening to this. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye!
And thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, apologize, Olivia.
Sorry, just wanted to say thank you so much for having me on.